Okay.
Hello.
So, Tommy, I'm not going to annoy you. I just want to bring up one point that someone said, or something that someone said. And am I trying to say that something didn't happen? No. I know horrible things in America have happened. I'm not saying that. Okay.
What?
So, but what I do want to ask you,
Here it is.
and I don't know how this is going to come off, but so we talk about different cultures in this country, what they've went through, and what how they have impacted America in different ways, right? Right, Tommy?
Sure.
Okay, so someone brought up the Irish. The Irish are a big part of America, right?
Okay.
So, and
Uh-huh.
I've kind of done some research on it, not as much as I want to, but you do know that the Irish were not to the magnitude of other people,
We're
but
not slaves.
they were slaves.
They
You
were
can
not
look it up.
slaves. No, Ty. No, they weren't. On the
No.
level
Okay,
of chattel
so
slavery, they absolutely were not. To compare, no, don't talk over me. To compare indentured servitude to the centuries-long practice of slavery, I think dismisses the severity of what chattel slavery was. For one,
okay,
Irish people who were indentured servants were often indentured to other Irish people living in America. That dynamic doesn't exist with black people living in America who were slaves.
were they still
Also
treated
wasn't
as slaves?
generational. People
No, they were
not
actually
born
oftentimes
into
treated.
indentured servitude.
Right. They were
But
oftentimes
were they
treated.
still?
They were all often. I just want to point out really quick that like this is brought up. The Irish is brought up a lot, but like debtor prisons and that type of indentured servitude went to a lot of Americans. I don't know if you knew this, but in no way, shape, or form is it comparable to slavery. The reality is, indentured servants were inevitably and eventually given rights. They were not allowed to work, be around, or fraternize with people of color at all. So no, they weren't treated the same. They were treated differently, and that
They were
like
still not
you
treated as.
pointing to it, the institution of like 40. What was it again? Like isn't it like 40,000 indentured servants from Ireland or something like that? I don't remember the exact number, but you comparing that to the systematic like enslavement of over 100 million people. It's not the move.
Did I say that that didn't happen? Did I say it was not as bad? I'm just
You're
saying
saying
it
that they're
did
the same
happen.
thing, effectively the same thing.
I am saying it did happen, and it does need to be recognized.
They're not the same. No one argued that it didn't. But are they of the
It
same
is
magnitude? Not even remotely close.
it brought up in history book? No.
Yes,
Someone
yes.
just say laugh at 100 million. Yes. Most of the people in the slave trade died coming here. Like
And
1/10 of all people that were enslaved made it to America alive.
they were not treated the same as normal people. We all agree on that. Yes. And then the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is, so yes, you were right about the southern border, that more white people brought stuff over. You were right on that. I'll give you that. But do you want to know what race brought the most over?
Is race citizenship status?
Wouldn't white be the
No.
race?
So the reason I'm bringing that up is because
Wait, so now I just want to
Democrat,
point. I just want to point out. So, are you gonna wait? Are you just get to it really quick? Are you going to say Hispanic?
yes.
Okay, awesome. Then you've proven my point
What point?
that you don't actually care about the status of people. You only care about their color.
So no, what I'm saying is,
Yep. Nope. That's
so
exactly what you're saying. You do not care about whether or not they're a U.S. citizen. You only care about their
you didn't
color.
let me bring up my point.
I think you did.
No, you actually didn't. But so let
That's
me
the
get to
point
my
you were going to
point.
make.
So my point I was making is, why in America do we put everyone into a category? White, Hispanic, Asian. Why can we not all just be Americans and treat each other as such?
Because of what you
Like,
just did?
no. So
Because of what you just did?
why can't we just say, oh, there's an American, or there's an American? Why do we have to say Asian American
Right,
or
because
this American?
Jaden and I do not have the same
To
shared
highlight that their
experience.
backgrounds and experience in America is different.
Jaden and I
So,
do not have the
so you and
same
Jade,
life experiences.
so
Like
you're
Jaden
gonna
and I,
say,
we're not super close in age, but we're roughly right around the same. Both of our parents are still together. We grew up in similar economic statuses. Jaden has a vastly different experience in America than I do.
so you're gonna say,
I don't know how much
not,
of that is true. From what I've gathered, Jaden, so if I'm wrong, let me
Yeah,
know.
you're right. Yeah.
so what I would say is, Me and everyone else, I would say mostly. Doesn't matter the color, doesn't matter what you look like. We all have the equal opportunity to do whatever we want, to choose whatever route we want in life in America, to go wherever we want and do whatever we want. I would agree with that.
I think it's a little odd that your fixation on race today is coming through so prominently, but we're not talking about a difference of opportunity when we're looking at outcomes. What we're looking at is the results, looking at disparate outcomes that affect Black people versus white people or Hispanic people and Asian people, all these categories that we need to consider. One second. All these categories that we need to consider when moving towards a populace that is more equitable, that is more egalitarian. So these differences in outcomes are what we're looking at towards determining these factors.
What differences? Who
in outcomes? What I just said.
Okay, and what outcomes are you talking about?
Opportunity. Things like housing, things like redlining, which is a major thing that's been occurring the last 2 years, if you could believe it. Differences
so you don't think
in schooling.
You don't think everyone has equal opportunity to go to any school they want?
Again, I'm not talking about opportunity. I'm talking about outcomes.
So what outcome? That
I just told you.
So
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff like this is how we measure racism, right? This is like the quantifiable metric for racism. What is the outcome between different demographic groups? Because if it's not equal, then there's something wrong. Why is this group being affected to a larger degree, right? When it comes to housing, generational wealth, healthcare, schooling, getting into higher education, the amount of money that people of color end up making or specific demographics can help us figure out what's going on so that we can alleviate it.
I don't think there's a big difference, honestly.
Ameris Bank had to settle $1 billion settlement for redlining that specifically implicated Black and Latino families in a way that was not affecting white people. That's the difference we're looking at. Sure, they had the opportunity to apply to Ameris. Was the result the same? No.
I just think people like to pick and choose, but that's
I just think
opinion.
you come from a point of privilege that disallows you to
so here's a fun
what I'm coming from here.
Yeah.
I don't
Here's
come from privilege.
Here, I just to ask you this stat, okay? People of color are twice as likely to face jail time, right? If you're Black, you are twice as likely to face jail time than their white counterpart.
Okay.
Why would that exist if not for racism?
I mean, I think so I don't want to get into it too much because I'm not as knowledgeable, so I won't get into it as much. I mean, I do know my strengths in a way, but there has been a few things that like Candace Owens and a few people like that have talked about. Don't laugh at that. She's smarter than you.
No, she's not.
So,
listen, I usually let other people tell me that I'm smart. 'Cause you should as well, but I'm not gonna allow you to say that.
I mean,
Candace
I'm not saying I'm smarter.
Candace Owens is not intelligent. Candace Owens is painful.
I mean, that's your opinion.
That's my right opinion, right? Yeah.
Yes.
She doesn't.
I mean, not
understand
right,
anything.
but
no, I'm right. Yeah.
I'll let you go.
Okay. Sometimes the trash takes itself.
He got super upset with me dogging on Candace Owens. Listen, Candace Owens is one of the dumbest people I have ever had the displeasure of listening to. I think the only person that I think is less intelligent than her is Jordan Peterson.
I would challenge him to name another Black conservative woman. Weird how
Candace Owens should give all that money back that she got from the ACLU and her claims of racism.
Right.
If you guys forgot, she gave all that money back.
stepped in and helped her.